This week on the long-term tackle review, we're going to be taking a look at a product that was new into my angling last season, and that's braided mainline, and more specifically the Avid Camo Braided Mainline. So I've never really used braided mainline in my carp fishing before, but that's mainly down to the fact that most of the waters I was on didn't allow it, and I've always been interested to see what the difference is when using braided mainline. And this season I was on a club water that did allow it because there's really savage gravel bars, loads of mussel beds, really heavy weed. So that braided mainline gives you that extra abrasion resistance and helps pull through the weed a little bit easier. So I went for the Avid Camo Outline Braid in £30 because I'd heard really good things about it from some of the other guys using it on the lake and also some reviews online, and I haven't been disappointed. It's performed really well for me. It does take quite a bit of care using braided mainline, I've found, and if you forget to look after it, soak it before you're fishing, that kind of stuff, which we'll go into in a little while, it can misbehave and become a right pain in the arse, if I'm honest. But if you look after it and you remember to keep on top of it, it can be exceptional in certain situations. So the first thing about it that I've liked about it on this water that I've been on is the abrasion resistance. There's some really savage bars. As I say, the weed beds are really thick in the height of the summer, and a braided mainline just helps pull through that weed. It literally just cuts through pads, that kind of stuff, really easily. When I was playing fish that I caught close in, stalking with it, it just charged through loads of pads and weed, and you can see the pads and bits of weed just popping up to the surface because it just cuts through, unlike mono. And it's really durable, so you're not going to get cut off as easily as you are on a standard mono. The next thing I really like about it is it fits in really nicely with my style of angling. So I tend to do a lot of really short sessions, turning up at night, trying to find fish and setting up on them, and I don't like to use a marker rod, leading around, so I can now just clip a lead onto this and have a little lead about, and the contact that you get through braid because of the zero stretch in it is absolutely brilliant. You get all the feedback, you can feel absolutely everything on the spot like your marker rod, but it's on your normal fishing lead line. The Avid one comes in a really nice camo colour, and a lot of braids you'll find the colour does wash out of them really easily. Some of the olive dark green ones can go really quite light after a season's use, but I've had this one now on for the whole of the last season. I put it on straight from the beginning of the year, and it's still got a really nice dark colour. It is lighter probably than the leftover spool I've got at home. So it is lightening up a little bit, but not as much as I thought it might do, and it's still got that really nice multicoloured camo colour in there as well. So it's a really nice touch. That is the disadvantage with braid, really, I suppose, is they do look like laser beams going out into the lake in the water sometimes. They do not blend in half as much as, say, a fluorocarbon, which basically differently is, or just a standard mono. And also, as I said at the start, it can misbehave on the spool a bit. So the main problem with braid is wind fraps when you're casting out. Those of you who have done quite a lot of spotting with braid before might have come across them. The problem can be even worse on fishing rods, I find, with a lighter lead that you're putting out there. And using distance sticks really causes a lot of problems if you don't keep the line under tension when you reel it back on, because you're taking that line off as you're going back and forwards between the distance sticks, and if you don't hold it tight, as you go across your distance sticks, you'll get tight bits, loose bits, tight bits, loose bits on your spool, and that will really play up when you're casting. Casting wise, it's not the best caster in the world. It's also, I don't think it's as bad as fluorocarbon. You can quite comfortably fish at 80-100 yards with this, as long as the first thing I do when I get to a lake when I'm fishing with it is I'll just dip it, the butt sections of the rod with a reel head straight into the lake, get it nice and wet and soaked, let that water soak in for a good 5 or 10 minutes, I find, before while I'm setting my rods up, so they're just nice and soaked, and that will help with wind fraps and just everything else when getting the braid out there. Now, some people have seen they'll wrap towels, like soaked wet towels, around their spools when they've not got them in the water, but I don't bother with that. You can just give them a good splash if you don't want to dunk your reels, but these Onyxes are pretty cheap reels, and they really are quite indestructible, so they do take some abuse. So as I say, I'll just soak them. So yeah, I've been really impressed with it so far. As I say, it comes in at £30 in weight, and the actual price in the shop is expensive braid, but I do think it is worth it in certain situations. The 600 metre spool will come in at about £55, something like that, so it's not cheap, but it will last absolutely ages if you look after it correctly. And in certain situations, so if you're fishing, boating out, things like that, fishing really snaggy waters where it allows it, and if you use it properly, it can be an absolute godsend, because it will save you a whole load of cutting offs and problems like that. So yep, great product, really been impressed with it. Make sure you look after it if you're using it, because a lot of people will moan that they get loads and endless wind fraps, and it's always peeling off the spool. But if you keep it nice and soaked and wet, remember to do it before every cast. Keep that line dead tight coming off distance sticks, and when you reel your lines back in the evenings, and it'll help you keep it in good nick and save you a whole load of problems. So hopefully this has been informative. Let me know down in the comments before if you've used braided mainline in your fishing before. As I say, I hadn't up until the last year, so it's a new one for me, and I've been really enjoying using it where it's been allowed. Let me know what braid you've used before. I've been really interested in a few of the other ones as well, from Thinking Anglers as such, and the sub braid from Corda. I'm looking forward to trying both of those in the future. Click like and subscribe if you haven't, if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.